Alrighty. Bears defense has always been very difficult to go against. I think they're playing really good football down the back half of this season with what they're showing on tape. So, great challenge for us. Final home game of the year, and just want to finish strong. Everything you do, you talk about finishing strong. So, Sunday is no different, and that's really where our focus lies. Can take any questions you have.
Well, Chris, Courtney, then Dave.
Oh, hey, Kirk, wondering if you could just kind of take us through what happened last Friday and the weekend. I mean, did you have any symptoms? Was it a surprise when you tested positive? And then how tough was it just watching on TV as the team got eliminated this past weekend from the playoffs?
Yeah, I just had mild symptoms, and watched on TV as we've all had to do. Those that have tested positive throughout the season, coaches and players alike. It's a unique time we're in, and just having my call sheet out in front of me, watching the game, and still trying to stay as engaged as I could.
How difficult was that, knowing that this team was put out of playoff contention, and just did you feel pretty helpless just being at home, not able to be there?
I just watched and tried to be as supportive as I could leading up to the game through the rest of Friday and Saturday and during the day on Sunday, and was just pulling so hard for my teammates, and then it was good to be back with them today for the first time in 5 days.
Kirk, Coach Zimmer said that he does plan to start you Sunday, even though there aren't any playoff implications. I guess, what do you? I'm sure you'd be eager to get back on the field after missing one, but what do you hope to get out of the game? Obviously, knowing that it is the last one of the season, no matter what.
I think it's really, for us, as important as any football game we have. You only get so many opportunities. You want to always, when you step between the white lines, put a great product out there and play hard for your teammates, play hard for your coaches, play hard for one another. And it's our last opportunity this season. When you think back on all the workouts, all the stuff you do, talking about watching tape in the off season and going through your own individual workouts and getting together with teammates, and then OTAs and training camp. There's just so much that goes into it. When you only get 17 guaranteed opportunities, you don't ever take one for granted.
Andrew, then Sam.
Hey, Kirk, you just mentioned that you were obviously among multiple guys who've had to watch games from home this year. I'm just curious to get your thoughts on how you would summarize how COVID's affected your guys' season. I think you've put nearly 30 guys on the COVID list in the past 2 months. And so I'm just curious to get your thoughts on how you think that's affected the year and why you might be sitting at home, a reason why you might be sitting at home here in the playoffs.
Hard to say. I haven't studied it. I didn't even know the 30 number, so I really couldn't give you an informed perspective. I just have observed when it's happened week to week, but and then trying to make the necessary adjustments to have your best opportunity to win. It's the world we're living in. I would guess most teams have had to deal with it in some way, shape, or form, even over the last 2 years, not just this year. So, it's I'm proud of the way our organization has fought through it and adapted as needed.
Hey, Kirk, just thinking a little bigger picture. What's the frustration level for you looking back at the last 4 years and realizing that 3 of those years you haven't been able to advance?
Certainly disappointed whenever you're not playing in the playoffs, but really my focus on the Bears right now, and I don't really think a lot about the big picture. There's plenty of time to do that in the off season, and you do that in the off season, but right now, we're still in it and really focused on Chicago before we would step back and take a bigger picture answer.
Chris, and then Courtney.
Yeah, hey, Kirk, I mean, obviously it's been a big issue this season and been discussed, you not being vaccinated and that sort of thing. How do you kind of handle and compartmentalize the criticism that you were receiving for testing positive when you weren't vaccinated? And then on the other side of the coin, is some of that unfair? Because obviously some players who are vaccinated also have landed on the COVID-19 reserve list.
In my instance, it wouldn't have mattered just because I had mild symptoms. They don't want you playing the game with COVID. I would have tested positive regardless. So in my case, it didn't make a big difference.
Kirk, a lot of times in games where teams are like out of playoff contention, we tend to see rookies or younger players get their first or whatever start. And Zim said Sunday that not particularly he didn't need to see more of Kellen Mond in that game. We don't see practice. So in your estimation, where has Kellen grown this year? The steps that he's taken to be a quarterback in the NFL from your estimation.
Yeah, Kellen's worked hard every day and done a great job helping our room and contributing on the practice field and in the meeting room and giving good input week to week.
Ben?
Kirk, as you sit here at the end of it, I know you talk a lot about how every game is its own entity, but as you look at a lot of these games where they've come down to the last play or the last couple of plays, what is the key to, I guess, turning some of those close losses into the wins that would have you in the playoffs?
I wish there was a quick, easy answer that would unlock that door, but all I know to do is to prepare like crazy, try to cover every possible scenario that could come up, knowing that it's tough to do. Get your teammates as prepared as possible, and then you got to go play the game, and you just have to make one more play than the other team. And we all know going into this season, going into next season, going into any game, it's a very thin line, very small margin for error, and that's the way it'll always be. So you just have to work and work and work and prepare and prepare and prepare, and then go play and trust that that preparation will carry you through.
Chris and then Craig.
Yeah, hey Kirk, there's been speculation about your future. Do you think there's any chance that potentially Sunday could be your last game with the Vikings? And then maybe also, could you say, I know you're under contract next year, is this where you want to be long term? And would you hope maybe you could even sign an extension after this season? Or how do you kind of look at that situation long term?
Yeah, I'm just focused on the Bears on Sunday. I've got a full day today, full day the next few days to get ready for them, and certainly want to be a Minnesota Viking for the rest of my career.
Justin's heading into this game, I think, a 124 away from the most receiving yards by a Viking ever. I was wondering if you guys are paying much attention to that. It's not that different from needing what he needed for the rookie record last year. So, with that being in the mix, does that enter? And then where do you stand on having the 17th game now, so many more records that are previously set over the past 40 or so years falling?
I was not aware of that. In my experience going after individual records, we've been fortunate to have opportunities late in the year in the past as well. Usually it becomes a coach thing. The coach is going to be able to kind of determine the personnel that's in the game, the plays that are called, and kind of how the strategy of the game goes. So much of the time as a quarterback, you just go play, you trust your reads. I think you can try to do too much sometimes and get yourself in trouble if you're thinking about that. So in my experience, coaches, can be aware of those things, and you certainly, want to see teammates have great success, want to see teams and teammates break records, and so that's certainly something you want to see happen. You just have to balance it with the ultimate objective of winning the football game. But certainly, would love to see Justin get that record, as he's done so many great things over the last 2 years, and would just be, further evidence of the player that he is and the way he's helped our offense this year and last year.
Obi?
Kirk, this is an offense that started the season with a lot of potential. That word was thrown around a lot throughout training camp. I guess what would be your prevailing takeaway of how the offense operated this season now that we go into the final game?
Yeah, I think because we're going into the final game, Hobie, I don't really think about prevailing takeaways. But when we get to the offseason, get the thing behind us, you have time to kind of evaluate and work through it more. You can go there then. But for right now, just kind of focused on finishing strong, and that's really where my heart and mind are at.